Legends, welcome back to another episode of FatChat by Body Majic. Thank you to everyone that's been tuning on in regularly to the podcast. We had a look at the stats, and there's something like 70% of people that are regularly tuning on in haven't yet clicked the follow or subscribe button. So make sure, if you're listening, make sure you click on there, get the follows up, let's get the subscribers going. It really goes a long way into getting bigger and better guests each and every week, just like the guy that I've got with me today. Please welcome, he plays for the Geelong Football Club. I'm very lucky to have him. We need to get a bigger table and a bigger chair so we can fit his big knees under him next time. Please welcome Shannon Neale.
Thank you very much for having me. And I'm sure when you say bigger guest, it was size and not personality. So,
yeah, mate.
We'll see how we go.
You're big in both areas, all right? So, but yeah, literally, look at it. If you can see him on the camera, his knees are above here. He's just. We got him to do the clap to start off with before, and he's through the microphone and looking a little bit awkward with it. But mate, thank you so much for coming and doing Fat Chat with me.
No, I'm stoked to be here. Great setup, and obviously home for a few weeks, so it was on my tick list. I had to do it. So.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's been from me just pestering you to come on as well.
No, definitely. I wanted to come on. It's something I wanted to do.
Good answer. Well, we're going to go into everything like performance related with you today, Shaz, because you've obviously been playing for Geelong for 3 years, going into your fourth year now.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in that time, you've learnt so much in terms of preparation, training, getting the most out of yourself in your short career already, and I can't wait to hear all of that from you as we go on in, which would be great. But a little bit about like how we know each other.
Yeah.
We've been doing pre-season training for the last 3 years, and it's been a lot of fun to put in the work in the off-season with you.
Yeah, definitely. It's been good. I think, I reached out to you on Instagram. I saw a few of the other boys, like Luke Jackson, Trey Roscoe, saw those boys, and obviously had the same manager. So I reached out to him because I thought he'd put on those boys onto you.
Yes.
Or there was a connection there.
Luke and Jason, great guys over at TLA. Fantastic. Do great stuff.
No, I definitely recommend those guys. But yeah, I reached out to him and he said, yeah, can get you in contact. Maybe just flick him a message. Because obviously, you're a big superstar, so I didn't think you're going to answer me back on Instagram.
So many DMs,
Well, I know how it is. No. So I did flick your message. You got back to me, I think, pretty instant, and teed it up and love it ever since. Like, just feels so good going into preseason. Feel stronger, feel fitter. So, there's not a reason to come back. So, absolutely love it.
Absolutely, and we put in some seriously good sessions. And Shannon was the first one this year to hit me up and go, "I'm back in town. Let's go. When do we start?" We had a bit of a sit down. We went through all your goals for the year, and we just went, "Let's get to work." And we've just been pumping the sessions. Been in the pool.
We have. That's new this year.
Very new this year. I've got yourself and Nick's doing that.
Yep.
Nick Martin's doing that as well this year. How you find the pool sessions? All right.
Yeah, the first one was a struggle.
Yeah.
Obviously,
these big legs just going like left and right rather than straight up and down.
Yeah, there's a bit of improvement to be done.
Look at every swim we've done, significantly better.
Yeah, felt a lot better. But as we'll touch on, I'm sure later, through the injury that I had this year, we obviously did a few pool sessions there.
Yeah.
So I had a bit of a base, but nothing compares to some of the stuff you've been doing with the Ironman training. So
it's not much fun, bro. I'd much prefer just doing the quick, sharp ones.
I'm doing like a quarter of it and still struggling. So I have a great respect for what you're doing. But it's been good.
You're very good at high-fiving me when I have to, sorry, mate, I've got to do another 4.
Exactly. Whilst I'm breathing, you're getting a rest.
Well, anybody that doesn't know you just yet, Shannon, we want to paint a little bit of a picture, maybe talk a little bit about, you growing up, because as a junior, you were very, very good at athletics, at different other various sports and football, obviously, as well. Tell us a little bit about you growing up and some of your junior sporting years and days.
Yeah, definitely. I think Mum and Dad, they're both heavily into sport. Mum was very heavy in netball, in terms of committee and playing. So was my sister. My dad was athletics. So they were obviously really keen to get me into sport.
Do they do like high level for both?
Dad did.
Yep.
Mum was pretty social and just stayed at a pretty like domestic level of netball.
Yep.
The Success Strikers, for anyone that's heard of that team, Mum was one that started that up. She was a part of the inaugural
You did also tell me just recently she did just win her netball grand final just recently as well.
Walking netball.
Walking netball
if
grand
you've ever heard of it.
Yes, Mum.
It's good. It's good.
So it's netball, but they're not allowed to run.
They're not allowed to run or jump, pretty much. So
Gotcha.
It's actually pretty extraordinary to watch. It's different, and I'm sure they have to hold themselves back. But because Mum's so Well, she's retired now, essentially. It's good for the people that want to still be involved but don't want to do it at such a high pace.
Of course, yeah.
So yeah, check it out. It's good. It's very good. But yeah, so they're very involved. Mum was on the committee and playing. She played netball for 40 years, and my sister's still going. She just ticked off 250 games with the club.
Yep.
So if that kind of paints the picture there, Dad does World Masters every 4 years.
Still does it.
Struggling now with a bit of the work he does,
Yep.
but did it consistently through probably his 35 to 45 year range. So
Yeah, right.
probably did it. Yeah, he went to Italy for it. There was one in Perth, so he did it here. So yeah, very sporty family. Grew up. We did. Me and my sister both did swimming, tennis, did a little bit of basketball. The main ones for me was athletics and footy. Did a bit of soccer, but yeah, pretty much did athletics since I was about 7. Did that, loved it. It's a way me and Dad bonded almost.
Was he your coach as well?
At times,
Yep.
yeah, he was involved in that, and he wanted to get involved. So I did athletics at Curtin, down in Cannington, for a little bit, and then moved to Coburn because that was a bit more local to us. And Dad was the arena manager, so on Saturdays when you get there at like 7 a.m, Dad would be there at 6:30. He'd help set up, make sure everything's right, and he'd be there for hours and hours and hours, longer than me. And he was really involved in that. But loved athletics. Got to like a national level where I was competing for WA interstate.
And what events were you doing?
Kind of focusing on 400, 800. There was a time where Dad was like, you need to, at this age, is when you need to pick an event to do.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed it. Dad was 200, 400. So, and I grew with a bit longer legs than him. So I thought, well, I won't do the 200. I'll do the 800 instead. And I enjoyed those. 1500 was a bit too far. And I didn't quite have the power and acceleration for the sprints. So I found my middle ground.
That was the range that sort of fitted you best.
Yeah, definitely. And I loved it. I still today love doing athletics. So, the off-season running I quite enjoy. It takes me back to those days. So yeah, really grew up around sport. Loved the outdoors. Always loved doing PE at school, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I've always loved it. It's been really good.
So weird. So I was in my physio the other day, right?
Yep.
And he goes, "Oh, you're training with Shannon again?" I was like, "Oh yeah, he's in, doing his preseason." And I think he was maybe a few years older than you at school. His name's Jacob. He went to Leeming,
Yep.
and he went. You could just tell from when he was in year 8 or 9 or whatever,
Yep.
he was going to be a pro athlete at something.
Yeah.
So you're obviously killing it at the junior level and we're really at the top end of everything, right?
A little bit, yeah. I kind of thought about this a few days ago, and Mum always speaks about it as well. Is I was never, with footy, I was never the best on ground. I never won best and fairest. I was never that best player. I was. Even
this is during juniors.
Yeah, all the way through, even at South Freo, even up to getting even before after I got drafted, all those things and in athletics, I was growing up towards the back end at the Coburn and state level. I was thereabouts. I was starting to get to the top end, but at a national level, I still had a long way to go. So I was kind of that guy that was never. I was always striving for it, but I'd never expect it. I was never. I have to be best on. I have to win, sort of thing. But that's what drove me, is because I never kind of achieved it. I was always striving for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, like at school, like the teachers kind of knew, and I remember a few towards the back end years, year 10, year 11, year 12, they'd always come to me and say, "This is the record for this event in the running." Like 100 was a bit.
This is before the carnivals and stuff.
Yeah. On the day, they come to me before the event, say, "This is the record," especially the 200, the 400, 800, and we did the 1500 like the week before the actual carnival, just to kind of save time. And they come up and say, "This is the record," and I'll be like, "Yeah, sweet." So I'd always just go for the record. And I remember in year 7, I hold the. I don't know now, but I remember for a few years I held the record for almost everything.
Wow!
Because it was
did the clean sweep.
But because it was the first year of year 7 at the school.
Oh, very good. Yeah,
so
very good.
I remember they told me, "You got the record in this," and I was like, "Geez, are this long?" And they're like, "Because it's the first year," and I was like, "Oh, damn it." So then from there, I wanted to kind of beat someone's record.
We have to maybe check that out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is it it was Leeming High School?
Leeming, yeah.
We'll have to go check out the Leeming High School
I
record
might have
books
to.
and see if there's still Shannon Neale.
It'd be interesting. But yeah, I think towards the back end, there was a guy his name was Lachlan, and I think he's still running now, and I'd trained with him and grew up kind of versing him, and I'd try and break his records because he was the year above me. And there was some I didn't get, some I did get, but he was a really phenomenal athlete as well. But I really loved athletics. It was something I really enjoyed.
Definitely. So. And then at what point was football the main priority, and when did you really get involved with that and start playing with South Freo and then sort of heading into the draft? How did that all come about?
Yeah, so there was, at South Freo, there was the year 8, year 9 development squads. Then from there you went to 16s at the time. I think, can't remember what they've changed the name of it now. And then you kind of feed through there into Colts. And I did the year 8, year 9 development squads, ticked those off, got to 16s, and I said to Mum, I was like, Mum, I just want to do athletics. I'm not interested in footy anymore. I just want to do athletics. That's what I want to do. And she's like, well, you're going to have to go down and tell your coach. And I said, I don't want to do that.
Can I text him?
Yeah, exactly, sort of thing. Can you call him and let him know I'm not coming down? He said, no, if you want to stop, you've got to go down and tell him. So Dad took me down. I said, Dad did most of the talking for me, but I was a bit like, yeah, I'm invested in athletics, and I really want to thank you for inviting me. And I did a couple of sessions at the time, and I was like, I think this is where I'm cutting it out. So I stopped there and did athletics that whole year. And then his name was Jason Padula. He was the talent manager at South at the time. So he was doing all the talent ID for those development squads and Colts. And I'd sat out 16, so I didn't play that. And he sent me an email, called Mum, and said, look, we'd love to have Shannon down at Colts again. If he's interested, just let us know. And I had my first state or national competition coming up in that January, and obviously that was when pre-season is. And I said to him, look, I'm trying to get here, and I really want to. I've qualified, and I want to go and compete. And I know it's training, and I know it's going to be hard. And he said, look, go do it. He said, don't come to December preseason. Just go do your athletics, because obviously athletics keeps you fit.
Yes.
So go do that, and just come to us after
and see where you're at.
Yeah. And I said, I did it, and I was, I didn't get a medal or anything, but I was so happy with how I went. It was my first one. Dad was super proud. He came along as well. And I said, look, I'll give footy a crack. I'll go down to Colts. Ended up playing every game of Colts in my first year, and said, look, I'll give footy a crack then. So I kind of did training here or there, but didn't do any competitions. And then played in my second year of Colts and went from there, and was lucky enough to get drafted. So it was a bit of an up and down scenario, but I remember in the year 9 kind of parent-player night, there was exactly 100, because I had the year 8 and year 9 development squads in this room, and everyone's parents. And I was so focused on what I want to do outside of footy after school and what I had to study. And at the time, I still want to be a nurse, but I wanted to study nursing. So
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I want to be a nurse. And I was so focused on what I needed to study and what I needed to do and all this sort of thing. And that was at the forefront of my mind. And in this room of exactly 100 kids, 50 each, they put up this pie chart, and they said, this is the percentage of people that will play Colts, percentage of people that play reserves, league, blah, 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 and go to AFL, 3%, so 3 out of 100. And they said, right, everyone stand. If you want to be an AFL player, stand up. I didn't stand up because I was so focused on being a nurse. I was the only player in that room that didn't stand up. And anyway, I stayed seated, and everyone stood up. And I was in the front row, so I was a bit like, fuck, what have I done? And he said, you three, not me, but 1, 2, 3, stay standing. Everyone else sit down. This is what it looks like. This is the percentage you'll make AFL. In that whole room, I didn't stand up, but I was the only one that got drafted in that room.
Wow, how crazy is that?
It's a pretty interesting story.
It's actually really interesting that, like, I guess early on like that, because that probably wasn't your focus, wasn't like the thing that you were gunning for, but it just kind of happened for you.
Exactly.
Not just happened, it's through all your work and all the the drafting process and playing well and all that sort of thing. But it probably just took a little bit of the stress off at the beginning part anyway, because it was something that it was just sort of happening for you, and you didn't really mind, and you had your goals elsewhere. Yeah,
exactly. So at the time I was doing athletics as well. Obviously, like I said, I was wanting to study nursing, so I was planning for that, and then everything kind of just, like, footy was something I enjoyed doing, but at that age, everyone's like, I want to become an AFL player. But for me, I was like, I do want to become an AFL player, but is that what I'm striving for right now? And I was like, well, not really, because athletics, nursing, footy. So it's quite an interesting story, and I think that's something that, like you said, it takes the expectation off, it takes that pressure, it relieves I have to do this, and it kind of just let it unfold a bit. So, I was lucky in that regard. But like I said, I was never, I think it was all potential based for me. Like, this kid can be this, he can be that. He but it was never this kid's the greatest right now. I
Yep.
was never that gun forward. I was never that player that was going to be built. You know what I mean? Like
Yes,
I was never
yes.
I was never that style player, and I'm grateful for that in a way.
Yes.
I think it really humbled me and made me the person I am today. Doing
Definitely.
That.
So then you get drafted to Geelong, and just sort of going off what you were just saying just then. So what's been the mentality change for you from then up until now being a professional going into your fourth year? And I know that you take your stuff very, very seriously now, like very meticulous with your training habits, your diet, your recovery, all that sort of stuff. You're very good with, keeping a good, solid, structured routine. When did that kind of switch for you? And was there any little things that you were working on early, or that was like a point where you're like, all right, this is what I've got to do to get to where I want to be?
Yeah, I think coming through, no matter what I was doing, whether it was athletics or footy at the time, I think for me, it was always I had to have things right.
Yep.
It was always I had to do this, had to do that. And I remember going into my second year, so going into my draft year, I hit that first year of Colts and I was like, right, well, I'll start giving everything to footy now. So in my second year of Colts, in my draft year, I was like, right, I have to have the same breakfast before every game. I have to listen to this pump up music in the car, and have to kind of get in this angry mood. And I thought that was what I had to do. That left foot on, the left boot on before the right, the right sock on before the left, that sort of stuff. And I thought that was, that's what professionalism was. And it wasn't until, I got drafted, did my first year. It was a bit of COVID interruption, but I was still like that. And then going into my second year, I was like, this isn't me. I'm not the person that gets angry. I'm not, that kind of guy. And I kind of just flicked it. I was like, if you have whatever breakfast, have whatever breakfast. If you're going to go out, stay home, do whatever. And then as soon as you get don't listen to kind of that sort of music until you get to the ground. So I tried to change things. And then I think the big thing for me was just have fun. You hear it a lot, but it's what worked for me is have as many chats, have as many casual conversations, non-footy related conversations pre-game in the rooms whilst you've got your Guernsey on as you can, because that'll just relax me. And it's not really until I run out that I'm really like, yeah, let's play a game now sort of thing. So I'm really relaxed, really high vibes, fun, smiling, joking. That's me now, whereas before I was really like regimented. This has to be in place. I have to have my left boot on first I have to go on the ground at this time before the warm-up. I was like, it just wears you out.
And I guess it's like when something maybe doesn't go right, it's like it can feel like a bigger deal than what it is.
Exactly.
If you're so rigid with
100%.
a route exactly like that.
Yep.
There's obviously things that you do now that you found work so much better for you to keep you more relaxed, like you said, chatting with your teammates, all that sort of thing. So maybe take us into I know you touched on some stuff there, but like what is maybe a couple of days leading up to when a game's being played, what's that look like for you? What do you do?
So let's say we play on Saturday. So we played Saturday and we're playing on Saturday again. That gives us so Saturday play, Sunday off, Monday will be regen. So, go in, jog a few laps, tick off a few stretches, modules, get in the water, team meeting, and then you're out. So it's really low key. Tuesday might be craft. Oh, sorry.
No, go.
Tuesday might be craft. So what we'll do is we'll probably we'll go in, we do some stretching, do your physio, whatever you need, and then divisional meetings. So forwards, mids, backs. Do that for half an hour, 45 minutes, and then it's like indoor warm up. So we've got the indoor warm up area, and we kind of just do some short, sharp stuff, get the body moving. Then we're outside. And it's not forwards, mids, backs, but it's very like honing on what you want to work on today. It's some stuff maybe from the weekend as a whole team that we need to work on, like ball movement or team defense, team offense, whatever it may be. And then forwards, mids, backs, you go and do your forward stuff, and then whatever you want to do, individual needs. So you're not out for too long. Wednesday, usually main. Or it might be off depending on how it looks. Wednesday off or main session, so you really hammer what you need to do, and then if you're not, Thursday off or main, Friday captain's run. And this is like on a main session, what I'll do is I'll do what I need to do, and I'll try and get some extra touch in, whether it be marks, whether it be a couple extra kicks, some handballs, just in the warm up area with the coach. And then I'll always do some edits on main day as well before training. And then I kind of...
And edits as in you're talking like watching tape and stuff?
From the game before, it might be from game 4. So Nigel Lappin's our forwards coach, so he might have some stuff like, I want you to watch this, what Hawk and Jez did on the weekend.
Yep.
Or I want you to watch what this forward does. He might have some stuff for it. Usually I'll watch back my stuff. But I'm usually in the club from about 7:38 till about 5. So it's my really long day, and I try and there's not really a moment in there where I'm just sitting back wasting time. Like, I'm always trying to get stuff done, whether it be extra touch, extra recovery, all that sort of stuff. And then game Saturday, so we do captain's run Friday, and I'll always do an upper session on the Friday. I always like to feel
a little bit juicy, eh?
Yeah, definitely. We know, you know what it's about.
Yeah, I know what feeling juicy is about.
Exactly. I like to do that, but it also just gives me that mental edge that I'm feeling a bit stronger, a bit bigger than my opponent. So I just go into the game feeling strong.
Yep.
And I got that from Tom Atkins. So he spoke to us a few. Probably last year, I reckon. And he goes, look, personally for me, like I usually do a heat room or a sauna if I'm feeling a bit heavy and I want to feel light, or vice versa, I'll do a gym session. So I took that how I wanted to, and said, well, I want to feel strong going into every game, so I do it up as the day before. And then game day comes in. I'll always like to wake up. I've got Woolies kind of like just around the other side of the block to me. So I usually walk there and get breakfast and walk home and make it.
Yep.
Get the legs moving, get outside.
What do you eat for breakfast on the
usually
day of the game?
Bacon, eggs, avocado.
Yep.
On some toast. I like that. It's usually something that makes me feel satisfied without feeling too average. And then usually try and have something to eat before the game. So there's a little bakery I go to that make chicken and salad rolls.
Great.
So I'll have that. And then rolls in, and I'm just as casual as ever before a game.
Nice.
So that's usually what a week looks like. I may have missed some stuff out there, but I'll try and just do some extra time. Like, something for me is obviously contested marking and aerial stuff.
Yep.
So I'll try and tick that off at training with the individual needs stuff we do. And just, it might be one or two things I need to work on from the game. It might be leading patterns, so I'll do extras of that. If I need to do
this
more.
Is on the game day, or this is during the week training?
During the week training. So usually on the Tuesday on the craft session, it's usually extra leading patterns or extra bag marking, whether it's ruck craft, whether it's just stuff like that. The stuff that I take away from the game, I work on that week, and that's usually how I base my week. So stuff like that.
Great.
So.
And then, like, post game, is there anything that you do in terms of recovery wise? Do you do saunas? Do you do ice baths? Particular stretching routines? Anything like that?
If we're at the club, it makes it a bit easier because we've got the water there. So we got 2 ice bars, a hot spa, like a river with jets, so like an endless river. So if I'm at the club, I'll do that. But if we're in Melbourne, I typically just don't really do anything, to be honest. I usually just take the time off to play the game, chill in the rooms for a bit, get some food in, water, Gatorades, that sort of stuff. And then pretty much just wrap it up there. And then the next day, when I've got the day off, that's when I go in and do the saunas and the ice bars again. So I just find if I'm in Melbourne, the last thing I want to do is worry about footy after a game. So I just take the afternoon, night, whatever time we play, and take that off. But I remember Joel, he used to, every game he used to play in Melbourne, early days he used to drive home, go into the club and do ice bars. But he lives in Barwon Heads now, which is down on the coast. And towards the back end of his career, he used to drive home and go in the water.
Right, because it was just as cold.
Because it was just as cold. So I remember that's what he does. And, everyone's different. Like, I just like chilling and getting away from it and just going home and relaxing or whatever it is I may be doing. But yeah, some people are different. They need to get in the ice or they need to get in the sauna. But yeah, everyone's different. So,
and I've heard that Geelong, in terms of how you guys are coached, it was actually, I think it was Zach Tui I was listening to on another podcast, and he was saying in terms of the game day stuff, your own preparation, Geelong really let you kind of take it yourself and you go, hey, what works for me? This is my routine. This is what I like to do, versus other clubs that I've had people on here talking about all right, cool, it's very rigid in either their recovery or the build up to the game, or that you have to do this warm up. But they seem to be a little bit more free flowing.
Yeah, definitely. I think
which probably takes like the mental stress off it as well.
100%. It's so much. Well, obviously, I haven't really been in another club, so for me, I'm really lucky that I have that. And I've heard of players like, Zach Tui, you hear about Isaac Smith, you hear about John Segler. So those guys that have come from other clubs, Jack Bowes. And yeah, well, from the sounds of it, obviously I'm really lucky as it is, but I'm extra lucky in the fact that I landed there. So, I think I remember, we call him Reg, so I'm sorry if I call him Reg, but Reg spoke about how the first time he played for Geelong was he rocked up, or he's going to be late to the game, and he's messaging the coach and saying, I'm going to be late. And the coach's like, mate, just get here when you need to. And it does take the mental edge off. If I use, for example, one of the Jason Horn-Francis examples where he didn't get in the ice bars after a game, after a session, he got penalised for it.
Yeah.
I think if I didn't get in the ice bath all year, no one would know.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of a difference.
Yeah. It's crazy. And every week, Scotty's always like, boys, if you get stuck in traffic, don't worry. If you're meant to be there, say it's a 7:50 game, we're meant to get there at 6 o'clock, 5:50. If you get there at 6:30, don't stress. Just a simple message. You don't have to message, but if you want to message us, great. But just get there when you get there.
Yeah.
And some people bend the rules. Jez just rocks up.
He's so casual. I'm ready to go.
So casual. I remember like captain's run day, forwards like to do a divisional just in the lead up. And we're, I think it's 8:45 we're on. He rocks up at 8:47 every time. He's doing his bonfire or he's got his cows or whatever it is. He's crazy, but he's the most casual bloke. And like we all laugh about it. It's something that's great about the culture. And everyone talks about the Geelong culture and that it's good that you have the older people to kind of guide that way.
Yeah.
Because if the younger kids come in and some of the younger kids come in and they might go, oh, this is relaxed. I can kind of just foot off the pedal, but
you get found out pretty quickly if you're not doing all the extras and all the things that you need to do.
Yes,
but
correct.
you're just not having that drill sergeant have to get everything
done.
done.
It's almost like you don't have this helicopter over your head, just making sure you're doing the right thing.
And you guys are all like super highly motivated people anyway. So it's not exactly like, you're going to be just, chilling out.
Yeah.
You're there for a reason. It's your livelihood. It's your job. You want to play the best that you can and get games and all that sort of stuff. So
100%.
Just taking that little bit of pressure off would do a lot for a lot of players, I imagine.
Yeah, it does. And like the younger guys are really competitive in a healthy way. Like we always, if I'm lifting 80 kilos on the bench press, then, someone like Toby Conway might come along, oh, I'm going to lift 85. Well, no worries, I'll do 90 then. Yeah. And we just kind of go that way.
Yeah, great.
But we don't really see each other. We kind of just sneak the weights on and go again. And then they come over and go, well, he must have done that. So I'll sneak these ones on and do that. It goes like that way. So you kind of come on your third set and you're lifting 120. Not that I can lift it anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Well, if I'm at the gym sometimes, you're always like, you're maybe not directly looking at them, but you're giving a bit of a side eye.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you have a look at the rack and see which one's missing. You go, oh shit, that's going on.
It's on the barbell. So it's in a really healthy way. And but a lot of us young boys, we call it the academy group, so 1 to 4 year players. The academy group is so hungry, and we drive each other so far, and we get told to leave the club. It's like, why are you here? Like, go home, get away, because they want to drive that kind of in and out, sort of get in, do what you need to do, get out, go home, relax. So they really drive us to get out and relax, but we're so eager, but we also just love the club. The club's a really good place to be.
Of course, yeah.
Really
and I imagine like lots of you, a lot of them are from all sorts of different, you from Perth, other guys from different states and different towns and all that sort of stuff. So I guess like having that group and your mates there, it doesn't feel nearly as as stressful workplace or hard to go do the work if you're actually enjoying the environment. Yeah,
it's a great environment, great culture, great work environment, and even like a lot of the academy boys, quite a few of them are Geelong locals. Like Toby, Mitch, unfortunately Cooper White, who was Oscar Riccardi, Ted Closey. So we got heaps. So all those boys obviously have a lot of connections in Geelong. So for someone like myself, someone like Phoenix Foster, those kinds of guys that may struggle, they've got connections. That, hey, come hang out with our friends, because we've got guys that are outside the footy club. So it's a really good way like that. That's really good. Yeah,
that's good. Yep. So like your position that you're playing as well, you're like you're ruck forward. How tall are you?
Forward ruck.
Yeah, forward ruck. Sorry, sorry. How tall are you?
203.
Yeah, 203. So like you're coming in behind right now, Hawkins, Cameron. I mean, that's like probably the biggest 1-2 punch in terms of forwards in the whole AFL.
Yeah. Are
you learning lots of stuff off them? Are they really good at guiding you and helping you with your craft?
Yeah.
What do you kind of learn from working with guys like that?
Yeah, it's a bit of a 1-2 punch to yourself to go, holy crap, I'm working with these guys. Yeah. They're not so much on the TV anymore. They're here to help me. And I can't stress it enough, I'm so grateful that these two are the people I get to look up to and work with, because they're two of the most genuine, caring, giving people that I've almost ever met. The whole club is really, but those two just, like Hawk is unbelievable at it. He is so nurturing and so invested in you as a person. And that's kind of how the club's made it. Like Joel was like that, Hawks like that, Zach Tui's like, everyone's like, it's crazy. But yeah, for me, the club, for me, one of my areas of improvement would be the 1v1, when the ball's on getting kicked on your head, the 1v1, how can you outdo your opponent? So that was the sort of stuff I really need to work on when I first come in. And
Hawk is the master.
Hawk's the best in the comp. Guy. So that's what I'm so lucky to land where I did, and he's got so many tricks up his sleeves, and obviously he's naturally gifted at it. He's obviously he's a big guy, but his footwork and his technique is something that makes him the best. And I'm so grateful that I get to learn some of that stuff. So it's like, even in a group huddle, if we're in a forwards group or if we're a whole team, just walk up to someone and even just like put your knee under them and just nudge them, because you're getting this center of gravity. If you get them behind someone, you want to get them under the footy, because my habit is just to use my hands, and that's pushing, so try and steer away from that. So just these little tips and tricks that I never even thought of. And one thing for me as well was Harry Taylor. He was huge.
Yep. But
Jez is a bit more go with the flow, free flowing.
Yep.
Just let instinct take over. So as much as he's great to learn off, like some of the patterns and how he sees the game, like that's what I'm trying to learn off. With Hawk, it's the more technical, contested stuff. And then obviously I've got my own strength, which is probably my aerial ability.
Yeah. Super explosive. I mean, everything that we do in the gym in terms of box jumps, trap bar jumps, any of the sprint stuff we've ever done, you're a gun. Like, it's like, super impressive, all that work that we do.
Thank you. So, and then obviously living with Sav, his aerial ability is really, really strong. So you kind of got Sav, who's aerial, Hawk, who's 1v1, and then Jez, who can just read the game like no one else. So you put those three, you take 1 or 2 points from Sav, 1 or 2 points from Hawk, same with Jez, and you build your own little foundation. And you start taking that how you want it and how you can build it. And then Harry Taylor was huge for me as well. Like some of the tricks he had. So if you're unloading the barbell in the gym, and you pick up the 10 kilo plate, but you hold it with your fingers, and you take it to where it's meant to be, and you just take the long route. So you just walk around the gym and put it in, and you do that, say, 6 times a gym session for grip strength. And I'm like, you don't even think about it. You just lift it and put it away.
I reckon he just wanted you to put the weights in the right fucking spot.
Yeah. rather than leave them on the barbell. Thanks for undermining everything I've ever tried to do.
But I like it. I really like it.
Take that to him, see what he says.
I'll have to ask him someday, and I'm gonna tell everybody that as well.
Yeah, do
grip
it.
strength, everybody.
Grip strength.
Get the fingers out.
Get the fingers going. But yeah, I don't know if it's a trick or just being lazy now.
No, I love it. I'm sure there's both. So
yeah, it's a bit of both. Don't leave your shit out, but also this is how you can do it.
So how many games have you played total now?
Oh, only the 5.
The 5, yeah. So, I mean, those games, they've been a little bit hard to come by because you've had some injuries to start on off with.
Yeah.
You had a back injury early on, and then you also had an ankle injury the start of this year.
Yep.
Tell us about that, and I guess like going into rehab, you're fighting for your spot, you're a young guy, you're super hungry, you're putting in all the work. I imagine there would have been a lot of very frustrating times all throughout that.
Yeah.
What did you do to get yourself through that mentally, physically, making sure you were ticking off everything that you need to do to get back?
Yeah. Well, 2 completely different injuries, to be honest. The first one, I had 2 stress fractures in my L5 in my spine.
And you pretty much just got drafted, and that happened pretty soon after.
That was actually before I got drafted. That was in my draft year.
Yeah.
So got drafted in 2020. So it was the end of 2019. I'd first been like kind of diagnosed with it. And I'd seen our South Freo physio, and I was like, look, it just feels nervy. It just feels groggy. It just doesn't feel right. So we both thought it was a bit of nerve. And he was like, right, you can go running. And I was like, oh, running doesn't feel right. Anyway, so we ended up getting scans that showed that there was two little fractures in there. And I've just gone, geez, I've never even heard of this before. Like, what is it? And they go, right, well, pretty much it's just a stress reaction, stress fracture, like in your spine. It's pretty serious.
And it's just from lots of load in terms of training, playing, a lot of you just, because you're doing athletics, you're doing footy, you're doing everything.
Yeah, so there's a lot of athletics,
and you're a big
footy,
guy as well. Yeah,
growing, and also just genuinely wasn't strong enough through the glutes, through the back, all that sort of stuff. So growing, strength, a lot of load, just all kind of crumbled. And so it was November, I got diagnosed in 2018, and they're like, look, could be about a 6-month injury here. And I'm like, fuck, this is what I need going into my draft. And I've gone, anyway, all right, let's do it. So they said 2 months, do nothing. You can't sleep on your stomach. You can't walk on sand. So, the mental health guy at the state WA state team. He's like, go to the beach, just get away. And I was like, I can't go to the beach. I can't walk on sand. I'm like, this is shocking. I can't do anything. Like just lay down, just keep walking to a minimal. So I was like, fuck, this is tough.
And
like,
this is, you've been up until then
injury free, pretty much, yeah,
the whole time
and injury free. So I was just like, this is new. So yeah, got through the 2 months and started a rehab process, and then we all know what happened. COVID happened. So I was like, right, this is like just what I needed. COVID, postponed footy, or no footy at all, and then I've got my stressies. So pretty much,
and because you were playing VFL as well at that time, so there was no.
No, I was playing Colts.
You're playing Colts.
Yeah.
Oh right.
So
that's the next bit.
Draft year. Yeah. So I was like, right. So COVID, and so I was like, right, just nursing, just focus on nursing.
Yeah.
You got no draft year. You've got no footy in your draft year. You probably haven't played enough. I was like, this is, and I never expected to be drafted. I was always if for me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so and then WA was WA, so they were locking everyone out and doing all that. So I was like, right, this is okay. Like this is, and then they were like, right, so we're going to postpone the season, but we're going to start here. So I was like, shit, this is good. Like this is actually working out all right. Like, I was coming back to running. I was coming back to doing that, and
just give you a bit of extra time. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly that. In the end, it gave me just extra time to get right, because pretty much the start of the season was my return date.
Yeah.
So it all actually kind of, and then I was like, right, this is falling into place. This is great. I was like, so there's two things I can do here. I can get to the start of the season and go, or I can work harder. Everyone who's kind of been put on hold for COVID can either do their programs or not. So I thought, fuck, if I come back healthier, fitter, running quicker, all this, but then the people that were healthy, fuck, what a good look that is. So let's just work harder than everyone next year. So got back to the season. I was flying, and I was like, this is good. I was like, you just need to just play footy, and obviously Luke Morabito was helping me out with the form and all this. He's like, just get back to playing footy. And then everything kind of happened from there, and I was lucky enough to end up getting drafted off of it. So it went from pretty scary. Like I was like, fuck, it's in your spine.
You didn't know what
it
was going to go. Yeah.
And then everything, with the injury and with COVID, I was like, this is not looking great at all. And then ended up just perfect timing where everything could kind of fall into place. I was like, right, there's two things you can do here. You can just do your program, or you can just fucking really hammer yourself and get right. So, and that's something that really built that mindset of, if you just work harder than the person next to you, it's a good look, and it'll pay off in the long run. So that's something that really built that attitude as well.
Absolutely.
And the other, so at the start of this year, I had the ankle injury, and
because you got a couple of games, you did that
last year. Yep. Started to get a bit of confidence in myself. I was
I'm playing really well in the VFL
too.
Like you
had a
kicking bags.
Strong few weeks, and then obviously Hawk had his surgery on his foot, so tried to keep that external noise to the side and say, look, if you just get through preseason, just do what you can, and just let the rest take care of itself. You just control what you can. And see what happens, and put together, feedback was really good. I thought within myself I was going really well, and had a really good preseason, and then ended up rolling. We're doing some match sim and went over and rolled it, and I'd done a whole bunch of ligament damage, bit of chip bone down the bottom, and I was like, as soon as I did it, I went to the bench and I was a wreck. I was just like, there it goes. Everything you're working towards, that round one spot, Hawk not being ready, is just, again, you look like everything's looking right, and it just comes down. And I wasn't like, this is the end. Like, I wasn't like that. I was just like a bit hurt.
It's just so frustrating.
The opportunity was there.
That window.
Yeah. So did that, and I was like, apart from the ligaments, it's all structurally pretty good. So I was like, right, let's just do your rehab and try and get back for round one. I was like, I'm not going to play AFL, but let's just try and get back for round one. So I got back for round one, which was round one Collingwood, and then it was like the last practice match of VFL, which is Collingwood as well. So played that, got through, did all right. Then the next week was VFL round one Carlton, so AFL round two Carlton, and I was really content with how I played. I think it was 16 odd touches, 8 odd marks, couple hit outs, finished with a couple goals. I was like, this is a really well put together game considering where I'd been. And then went up to the Gold Coast. So this is my third game. First centre bounce of the third quarter after half time. Went up, landed wrong, and my ankle's gone again. I'm just gone,
Exact same thing?
Different.
Yep.
So I thought
again.
Yeah. So first one, I went out. The ankle went out, and then this one I'd overflexed. So I'd landed on
And there's just too much load in the front.
Yeah. So I've just gone, this is great. So and I played out the game, and they're like umming, ahhing what we should do. It was a bit of a for not saying anything bad about them, because it was just how do we do it? What do we do? What's the best way to go? Sort of thing. So there's a lot going on, and do we do surgery? Do we not? And they thought it was maybe just a couple of weeks. Ended up going for scans, and it's called the retinaculum. It goes over the heel bone through here.
Yep.
And there's a retinaculum, and I tore the retinaculum, which is a ligament, and the ligament had ended up pulling off bone as well, off the heel.
Yep.
So it pulled away, and we all thought, right, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna put you in a moon boot, and it should just fix back down where it'd come off. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yep, no worries. And they're like, do we do surgery? Do we not? And I was like, look. If you don't do surgery, there's a risk it might not heal properly, blah, blah, blah.
It's more weeks, it's longer. Yeah.
If you do surgery, you'll know what you do. Like, this will be fixed. You know a timeline. You know the rehab, all this sort of thing. Like, it's pretty set out for you. So with that, I was like, rather than risking unknown, let's just do surgery. And a couple of doctors were like, yep. A couple of doctors were like, no. I was like, God, can we just do it, please? Like, anyway, they all ended up jumping on board. And it wasn't until the surgery had happened that we'd... so they thought the bone was just above where it got pulled away, but it actually ended up falling down into a little groove, so it was never going to heal.
Right.
So if I was in a moon boot for 6 weeks, I would have still needed surgery. Yeah. So I probably wouldn't have played at all. And I'm glad we did surgery, did that, and was able to come back, play a few games, and then was able to play a few AFL games at the back end of the year, which was really good. So bit of reward for effort, which was nice.
Absolutely, and I think that you touched on it throughout that whole process there. It's just about trying to work out what you can do and what's in your control today with your injuries.
Absolutely.
And rather than focusing on what if this happens and what if that happens, and I think in 6 weeks away, and it's just more, what can we do right now to make it better?
Yeah.
And just ticking those things off.
Yeah, definitely. And, credit to the strength and conditioning staff. I worked with a guy named Daniel Jones. He'd worked at the Brooklyn Nets for 4 years. And he's really experienced and he's really good. I'm glad we got him because it was his first year this year. And he's quite eager as well. So he was like, if you're running it, let's just say I think it was 4 weeks, you'll be start running. Let's try and get it to 3. If you're going to be in the gym at 2 weeks, let's get it to 1.5 weeks. Just try and push everything forward. So he was really good with that as well. And he didn't push it too far where it collapsed. He pushed it to the point where it's like,
that it was comfortable and that was good for you to still have a target to strive towards and just get yourself right.
And it was all symptomatic as well.
Yeah.
And we'd always relayed back to our doctor and the surgeon, because the surgeon was up in Brisbane. So we'd always relay the message to this before we did it, but he was really eager to start getting things done earlier than they needed or than we'd planned. So it was really good.
And then towards the back of the season just gone, I mean, you played the Collingwood game.
Yeah.
Must have been sick in front of such a massive crowd.
Yeah, it was good.
Again, going through all these adversities all throughout the year and having some, a little bit up and down the whole time.
Yeah.
Finally get some reward again.
Definitely, yeah. Look, when Hawk went down with his hammy in the Freo game, which was 2 weeks before the Collingwood game, so I was thinking, key position out. I've been injured, not sure if I've done enough for the Port game. So, and I agree with they put Jack Henry forward, and I was like, I probably just don't think I'm ready, which is fair. Like I'm fine with that. And then Jack went down, and I was like, right, I've got another week. Like, I feel like I've done enough. Hopefully I can play this Collingwood game. Hopefully I've put enough to them to say, look, let's play him. Fortunately enough, I'd done enough, and they'd pick me, and I was like, sweet, let's do it. Mum and Dad, fortunately enough, were in town for that game. So I had Mum and Dad there. It was almost like playing my first game again, a little bit. Like it was really special, and 80,000 people. Unfortunately, didn't get the win, but there was not one moment where I didn't have a smile on my face.
Yep.
It was great. I could. You can see why people love doing what they do in this industry, because it's just crazy.
Absolutely.
It's crazy. So
then that's obviously like all the stuff you've been doing in terms of injury, your training side of stuff. Another really important part of getting the most out of yourself is the nutrition side of things. Do you follow anything in terms of, do you count calories pretty tightly? Is there meals that you always eat, or your meal prep? And what's your sort of habits and everything that you're doing around your nutrition?
Yeah. So as we touched on pretty earlier on, Mum and Dad were very into sports, and I was very fortunate that Dad was very mum and dad were both very healthy eaters. So I was really fortunate enough that kind of growing up, I'd always eaten healthy, so I didn't know anything otherwise.
Which we spoke about this in the gym the other day as well.
Yeah.
It's like what I see when I'm working with new clients, whether it's a weight loss person or an athlete, whatever, their kind of perception on food is very much based around whatever they were growing up with between sort of 0 and 5. So like whatever that was looking like in terms of your parents, if they were cooking or if you were eating lots of takeout or whatever it is, that's kind of like the habits that you form later on, and that's what you'd end up sort of being like as well. So having that background of parents that do that makes a huge difference.
It does. In
terms of relationship with food.
Oh, 100%. And I was lucky enough to kind of have this not necessarily knowing how to cook them, but these meals in my head that I knew were good. And I don't really like eating out, like in terms of like, you know, the McDonald's and stuff like that. Like after a game, I'd be like, on the way home, I'll just grab something through the drive-thru. And our dietitian's always like, no matter what you eat, just eat something after a game. Just make sure you eat it. So usually I have like one treat a week, which is after a game. But most of the time, like I can't steer away from steak, potatoes and salad. That's always what I do.
That's pretty much what I live off as well.
That's expensive.
It is.
Fucking expensive.
How much does a food bill for you cost? Because you're a massive bloke.
I've got my phone out. There's a thing where I've got two Scotch fillets.
Yeah.
And then like a big bowl of salad and another big bowl of potatoes. And I'm like, and in pre-season, it goes to a whole new level.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Whole new level. My metabolism is higher than the ceiling above us.
It's
just crazy.
Burn through.
And I hate myself about it, for it.
It's almost
so expensive,
man. I find it like with my stuff as well. Like I'm nowhere near as big as you, but I burn through so much food. It's almost an inconvenience to eat half the time because you're like, I just ate like an hour and a half ago and I'm starving again.
It's crazy. Mum gets so angry at it because I'll eat dinner and I'll come out half an hour later like, Mum, I'm hungry.
That's
She's like,
literally exactly what I do.
It's seriously, it's crazy. So, I mean, nothing really nutrition-wise in terms of counting calories. I mean, we have a few times just to help me out with getting the right amount.
Exactly. It's just good for different times, I feel, rather than thinking about it all year long. It's more just like when we're trying to put on a little bit more or take off a bit, whatever we've tried to work on, that's when it's really beneficial to do that in a short period of time. But then apart from that, like you said, it's just making the good routine and good habits with, you know what to cook, you got some good recipes and just making sure you do it too.
Yeah, definitely. But you always eat your pastas before a game, so you always know how to cook those.
During the games, do you fuel up? What do you do during the games?
So I'll usually try and eat something because, like I said, my metabolism is really, really crazy. So you don't really see people eat food or like a meal as such before the game. But what I'll do is I'll usually eat about 2 hours, an hour and a half before the game, like that salad roll or something like that. Whereas you don't eat, you see people snacking on like a piece of like an apple or a banana. So I usually have a roll.
You need something a bit more substantial.
Yeah. Because I hate, you don't want to go into a game full, but I hate feeling hungry.
Yep.
So
it stresses me out feeling hungry when I'm training. The second I start getting hungry, I have to almost stop training and go eat and then come back.
The coaches know that too. Like I've said to them a few times, like, I can't gym because I'm just that hungry at the moment. So they'll like just go, because we've got a cafe. So I'm just going to run to the cafe, get a toasty or something, then come back. They're like, yeah, no worries. So and that's obviously the culture we spoke about. If you need to do something, just go and do it. But then stuff like that, like it's crazy, dude. Like pre-game roll, and then I'll kind of warm up, and then I'll have a couple of bananas, and then I'm kind of just snacking to the game. Like it's like you'd think if you have something to eat, you'll be fine, but I have something to eat, a couple of bananas and snack. So I'll usually try and do that. And bananas obviously are good in carbs, so you're getting that last little carb load in. And
What about halftime? Do you do anything halftime?
Pickle juice. Stop because I cramp a little bit in the last quarter, so get a cramp, energy gel. And then usually I don't get hungry after games, like straight after. It takes me about an hour to actually feel hungry. So I don't usually have like the banana or anything. I usually just energy gel, pickle juice, maybe like a snake or something. But then even after the game, like I'm not really eating too much until I'm really on the way home or I'm at home already. So So yeah,
definitely. And then in terms of the other very important part of getting the most out of yourself with preparation, games, everything for someone so high performing like yourself is the mental side of stuff and sort of the mental wellness. What do you do? Do you work with any sports psychologists? Do you do any sort of meditation stuff, visualization work, anything like that, just to kind of sort of take the pressures off what is a really stressful job that you got. You have to be performing on the day. You got to be prepared to the max.
Yeah.
What do you do to kind of just take the edge off?
Yeah, we're really lucky. We've got Dave Williams, and he's been working at the AFL for AFLPA, one of those two. Worked at Melbourne, and now he's with us, and he is unreal. He is so good. He's so good at his job, so understanding, and I've, especially through the rehab with my ankle, I found it quite hard to kind of stay not motivated. Like I was more, you just feel more motivated.
Probably just more positive about
everything. Exactly. Yeah. Like, like you got all these guys, you rock up every week and these guys are playing footy and you're just kind of stuck on the sidelines. So it takes its toll no matter how long your injury is, whether it's 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whether you're, I really feel bad for the guys that do knees. Like they're out for months. It's like, God, this is shocking. I feel really bad for those guys. But more the stuff like, I just found myself getting really anxious before the game, or I found myself losing concentration during the game, or stuff like that. That's more the stuff I work on. Visualization.
What's the stuff that you work on to do that? Is it visualization?
Not really. It's more just like little exercises. Like, I think one of the examples Willow used with me was when you're doing the dishes, try and forget everything and just focus on the dish you're washing. Literally just focus on what it is you're washing and why you're washing it and what you're washing. Like was it steak? Was it sauce? Blah, blah, blah. So if you can really just hone in on that when you lose your concentration sort of thing in games, and if you can really hone in on just washing your dishes and what you're doing, then it kind of builds the exercise to, train your brain to
be in the moment a
focus.
little bit more, yeah.
So just stuff like that. And it's like, geez, it's not bad.
Yeah, I sort of had that like the start of the year. I was went to psychologists just for some like mental health stuff in general that I was working through, and that was a technique very similar, but it was more just literally if you start feeling anxious, lay down on the floor, close your eyes, and think of every single sound that you can think, and you do that for 15 seconds, and you're just so much more. That anxiety of when everything's spinning,
back,
you're just you're in your body again. You're like, oh shit, actually. It's all good. I can actually just tackle those little things that I'm thinking about one by one after that. Yeah, which
definitely.
is what I found really helped.
Yeah, and then even
Similar
stuff
thing.
with like selection issues, like you can worry about if I'm in this week, if I'm not in this week.
Totally.
How do you kind of, because you might be training, you might be doing something, but you don't want to think about the selection. You want to just enjoy yourself. You know, just enjoy training, get through stuff like that. And it's like if you ever find yourself thinking about it, just write it down. Like journaling's something I've never really done, to be honest. And Harry Taylor was massive. He's got journals and journals and journals of every day he was at the footy club. Seriously, his whole career.
Does he still have them?
He still has them.
Wow.
He'd have everything. He journaled every day and he's kept everything since. Like he's got monumental amounts of notes.
Wow.
But I struggle to, when I'm writing, to you think about everything you're gonna write. You write about 3 lines and you forget where you're at. And that's something I struggled with. But it was more like if you're laying in bed and you're struggling, because I found myself throughout the year struggling to sleep. And I was like, why are you struggling to sleep? Well, I feel myself thinking about, games or, the upcoming selection or whatever it is. And he's like, well, if you think about that, just write it down because at least you're getting it out some way. Yeah. So I found that, and I found that quite helped, whether it was just...
And it's literally just a couple of words?
Literally. Yeah. It wasn't like, I feel this, blah, 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 blah. It was just, fuck this, I want to play this week. Fuck this, like, work harder, or whatever it was. Just, even if it was just something like that, just get it out. And I found that really helped. Like, I felt like once I did that, I was like, straight out to sleep. So stuff like that. And it was just, I wouldn't say I see him once a week on a Tuesday. I wouldn't say, it's just whenever I feel like I am feeling away or getting sidetracked, I just say, Willow, let's catch up. And he's like, yep, let's do it. So I find that if I can stay on top of it before it gets become an issue, then I'm sweet.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I really like all that. I'm going to have to try that. I like that one about I have trouble sometimes just falling asleep just in terms of, might not necessarily be anything that dramatic that I'm dealing with in terms of a high performance thing like you are, like you got your game day, but it's more just like, I've got thoughts spinning around the head. There might be 5 things that I'm thinking about have to get done tomorrow or something. Yeah. Might try that. That's
especially like, I know we speak about it a bit, like the workload that's coming because such a successful man like yourself. Like if, you're getting stressed out, even if it's, the microphone app on your phone, just talking into that for 5 seconds, just saying whatever it is, and then I found it helpful. Obviously, it might not work for everyone, but definitely recommend it.
No, I love it. Yeah. So this preseason, we've been just clanging and banging. We've been in the gym. It's been a lot of fun. Absolutely, just pumping it, which has been really good. We've got another week and a bit, and then you're off to Europe for a little bit.
Yeah, really excited. Good fun. Going with the young guys.
Yeah, so who you going with?
Toby Conway, Max Holmes, Ollie Dempsey, Ollie Henry, Tanner Bruin, myself, and I think there was one more. Now I feel rude for not remembering.
But
There
we've
might
got a
be
big,
actually.
big group of guys.
Yeah.
You got Barcelona, Berlin.
Berlin, Madrid, Italy,
I'm
Dublin.
that jealous. You've been telling me all about
Yeah,
that.
I know.
For weeks, and I'm
I
just
feel like
there
we talk
going,
about it every time I see you.
Man, because I'm so excited. I'm
Yeah,
just like,
yeah.
because it brings back all of my memories of stuff, and I'm like,
really
or lack
excited.
of memories, more like it.
Jesus, I'll
But,
go there.
are you going to keep training while you're over there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like as I spoke about, the young guys are really hungry, really, really good work ethic. So, going with those guys, and I know the guys that I'm going with really like to work hard as well.
Yeah.
As hard as me even sometimes. So, which I don't like.
Exactly. You got someone to beat there.
Exactly. So, they'll be good. We'll run together. We'll gym together, and then whatever the day holds from then, and we'll get that done. So,
Excellent.
It'll be really good.
No, it's really good. Well, I've been telling everybody, I've said it already on this podcast, this would be 2 weeks ago when the last episode came out.
Yep.
I have been saying to everyone, if you're into Supercoach, get Shannon Neale on your team this year because he's going to be a bargain price.
No.
Everybody has a breakout year, right? Every year I have one guy out of the lot that goes nuts. So we had Luke, we've had Sean does before that. We had Luke, Nick Martin this year.
Trent.
I'm telling you, what's the date today? 20th of September. I'm telling you, it's Shannon Neale's year next year, bro. I'm fucking telling you.
I hope you're right. But it doesn't come without hard work.
It doesn't, but I know. But the reason why I'm saying that, I'm not just saying that, because I'm seeing the work that you're putting in. And it's all the extras. It's telling me first day, the second that you were here, bang, we're doing double sessions. We're swimming for an hour, then going to go lift for an hour and a half.
It's good
everything
fun.
we've got everything going on. And I'm
do.
so confident that it's
Thank
going to be
you.
your year, bro. So
Fingers crossed. But it wouldn't happen without you. So
first
mention,
probably
first
not.
mention.
But I'm joking. It definitely would.
That's it. Wrap it up.
Would.
Wrap it up.
No, mate. I love seeing all your successes so far. Every time that we come back in every preseason, it's my favourite time of year working with you. So
it is.
I can't wait to see you next year. Absolutely dominate. So get some more games. Really solidify your spot, and we'll make sure that body's all ready and good to go for next year.
Definitely.
But thank you so much for coming and
for
doing the
having
episode.
me.
And bloody love your work.
Thank you. No, thanks for having me. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Good. I might just do an outro as well. Yep. Just stay there for 1 sec, Shaz. And that's another episode of Fat Chat all wrapped up. Shannon, what an absolute bloody legend coming in and doing that episode with me. I enjoyed every second of it, and some really good, insightful things for any athlete out there, anyone that wants to get the most out of themselves. It was just a really, really great listen. I can't wait to see him chop up all next year. If you haven't already, like I said at the start of the pod, it was like 70% of listeners haven't already gone and have not gone and followed or subscribed to the Fat Chat channels on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music. It really goes a long way into getting more guests, just like Shannon coming on the podcast. So it takes 2 seconds of your time. Really appreciate it. And I promise I'll keep bringing the episodes, keep doing the best I possibly can for Fat Chat and build it to the biggest, baddest podcast I possibly can make it. And if you want to go one better, leave us a 5-star review. Also goes a really, really long way. Love your work, guys. The footy preseason program, it would have just started by the time this episode comes out, but there may be some spots left. So if you're interested, head on over to www.bodymagic.fit. Get yourself signed up. That's 3 gym programs, couple of running workouts as well, swimming program, nutrition plan, a weekly check-in with a Body Magic coach. If you're in Perth, an in-session running session as well, and it's based off all the sessions that I'm using with the AFL guys over the preseason. Bloody love your work, guys, and I'll see you next episode.